Welcome to the Bridging Institute. I'm Cara, the founder, and today I have Louise, who, if you come to the office, you might see her when you walk in the door. But she's going to help me demonstrate some aspects of balance that we assess in pretty much every session. We may do it slightly differently depending on your situation, but one of the things that just gives us a clue right off the bat of how well your whole muscle system is working together is how you're able to stay centered when you get a little bit off balance. So let me back up just a quick minute. Balance is really centered to security, which is everything. We can't move unless we feel secure because we don't want to fall down. And when you have had a balance issue, you may go for some testing with a physical therapist, a vestibular therapist, neurologist, what have you. Often they're going to be testing different aspects of balance, like standing on one leg or standing with your eyes closed and walking in a straight line. These are very well-established tests, and they are both a static, which is a still balance, or dynamic, which is a moving balance. What we check is a bit of a reactive balance, and this gives us a good indication of how is your body reacting when the world is not perfect, because generally it's not. And when your body is reacting in an asymmetric way, or it's just not reacting quite right, that's causing stress, and that's usually where you're feeling some kind of pain. With what we see, we are probably going to see some stiffness with Louise. She's had some back surgeries, so her core doesn't move as much as what the rest of us do. So we try to help her get balance reactions in other places since some of the core reactions are not available. But I wanted to take you through what we do look at just so that you have an idea of how it's different and what it means. So in our world, it's three-dimensional. If you have had much math and no trigonometry, there's X, Y, Z planes for the 3 dimensions. And we're going to check her movement control, or sway control, it can also be called, in each of those dimensions. So often we start standing up. If you are a person who is not very steady, we may start sitting down. But I just put my hands on her shoulders very lightly. And I'm kind of using this one as more of a guard because I don't know, is she unstable or is she stable? And I don't want her to end up on the floor. Not good for business, not good for her. So I'm just going to use this hand. I'm just going to push very lightly and see, if I push very lightly, does her body stop her and then bring her back to center? And it did. That's a sideways direction. I'm going to go the other way, so I'm going to catch with this hand. Good. And then are they about the same? I think they were about the same. So we often get off balance to the side if we get in trouble with balance. Somebody bumps us from the side. We can also get into trouble balance-wise turning. So I'm going to just turn her. Don't help. So I'm going to turn and let go. So she turns. Her body stops her so that she stays safe, and then it recenters her. So that was going one direction and then the other. Okay, you helped a little bit on that one, so I think that's probably not quite as good. Okay, no, that actually was good. And then we also have to control ourselves going forward and back. So I'm just going to use thumbs, so it's very lightly, but I've got fingers on the front to control if I feel like she's going to lose her balance going forward. Good. So her feet are actually doing a lot of really nice work to trigger a sensation of like, oh, that's far enough, need to come back. And then going back, I'm going to stand behind her because, no, let me do it. Whoa, okay. So that was actually an okay reaction. What I would like is that her balance could control itself without having to step, but stepping is a good substitute. So she's going to be safe just standing and in general movement. If she's going to take up some new sport and not sure about it, we need to test a little differently. But being balanced and having that good sway control doesn't always mean it's the same when you're sitting down. So some people, like when I sit down, I seem to always slump to one side. Sit. We'll see what that looks like. So I'm going to check the same things, but this is just control from her core up. Her legs really aren't doing much to help because her feet are not touching the ground. So I'm going to just, I don't have to worry so much about you falling. So if we weren't videoing this, I might position myself a little differently. So side, she comes back, side, and she comes back. And then turning, doesn't turn too much. This makes sense. Her back is, it's got some hardware in there and it's not going to turn so much. So when she was standing, a lot of her nice turning ability was probably helped from her legs. But let's see if what she can do is equal. And I think so. You're helping a little bit. It's okay. When people help, it's our signal that maybe it doesn't work so well. And I'm going to go forward and then back. And what's nice is that her core does control. It stops her going forward and it stops her going back. So one way that this could not be working so well is if she just would fall or lose control to one direction or another. That tells us there's something in the way that the muscles are working together that's out of balance, that's not keeping that secure. There's a second way that you could be actually stable but not great, not reacting well, is if everything's rigid. And this is often where people have pain. Because if it's rigid, you're not able to react because everything's just holding on to keep you secure. And so you want this like immediately available reaction and dynamic balance to get you back to center. So just wanted to be able to show that and explain it a little bit better than writing it out, because I think this is one where a picture really is worth 1,000 words. But it's something at the Bridging Institute where with all of our assessments in bridging, we start with this because it gives us a lot of information and also can find blind spots that you're not aware of and help you understand like, oh, that's why I'm always off or need to hold on to the right side, or why I always fall to the left, something like that. So if you're interested in a session to assess that for yourself, we're located in the northern suburbs of Chicago. We'd love to have you. And if you are a professional who would like to learn, this is different than excursion tests or some other sway tests that physical therapists learn. We would be happy to have you in our classes, and there are workshops information on our website. So give us a thumbs up. Thank you, Louise. And subscribe to the channel so you get more information like this. Thanks.